Welcome to the Nifty Chicks. In this episode, we chat with Larisa Barbu, the COO and co-founder of both Exchange.Art and Code Canvas. She shares with us challenges they've faced since launching a year and a half ago, how the buying habits of art collectors have evolved over time, and their stance on doxing and royalties for artists. Let's do this.
All right. Welcome to the Nifty Chicks. We are excited to have Larisa Barbu from Exchange.Art today. Welcome to the show, Larisa. I can't wait for today's conversation. Why don't you go ahead and just give us a brief background about you and how Exchange.Art came to be?
Thank you so much, Erin, and thank you so much for having me. Really excited with your initiative of the show and with your support towards women in the industry. So a bit about myself. I have studied in the UK at Manchester University, worked for a few years in technology, in banks like JP Morgan and other companies. And then with the same team that we have, with the same team of founders that we have now at Exchange, we have built different projects, and Exchange.Art is the biggest one that we have done so far. And the second biggest one is Code Canvas, which has just launched a month ago.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about how Exchange.Art, the idea came about.
So Alex, who is the CEO, was the person that envisioned a better place for artists in general to do commerce and a better community for them. We went to a few galleries in London and we had a few chats with artists who were trying to pick a few pieces for our apartment. And after having a few conversations, we realized the things that we thought can be done better in that industry. So this is how creating a marketplace for artists came about. And from there on, it was just a lot of hard work.
I love this. So I'm actually on the website right now, and you've got so many incredible, beautiful pieces up there. So talk to me about, for those that are completely new to Exchange.Art, talk to me about like what it is and why someone should go visit that and consider Exchange.Art to purchase their next art piece.
So Exchange.Art is the art marketplace on Solana. We are focusing on one-of-ones, which mean unique pieces, and editions, which mean a number of copies of the same one piece. It's a lot more, we are focused a lot more on what the traditional world looks like in terms of pieces. So we don't focus on collectibles, for example. We don't have collections that have 10,000 pieces of variants of one kind of theme. But that's pretty much it as a sum up of Exchange.Art. Why would someone try to get into this market? Well, as an artist, I think it's really important the fact that we are open and inclusive. We don't have lengthy selection processes. You can just go on and create an account and mint your piece, which takes a few seconds and a few clicks, and that's it. You're ready to go. So from this perspective, we don't gate the marketplace. Everyone has a chance to start their career or their side business if they want to do that on Exchange.Art. We also offer a lot of stuff. We are trying to be out there in the community every day as much as possible with as many resources as possible. So, for example, artists have the option of having discussions with our senior curator, Hayley. She worked for Sotheby's, she worked for MoMA, she worked for a few more reputable institutions from the traditional art world before she joined us. And she really provides a really good input. into helping artists to curate their own series. So there are multiple reasons to try to join Exchange.Art. Twitter also, whatever the community that we managed to build around Exchange.Art on Twitter is really welcoming. We have started this market on Solana from scratch, or almost from scratch, a year and almost half ago. And the world that we build around it, it's really welcoming and really helpful with the new artists that are joining, even if they join from a traditional art world, let's say from art schools, or they do art for passion because they never actually had the chance to do it for a living, because the traditional artwork didn't exactly give them the chance to use their talent to make a living. Or if they are professional artists that have always done that, the community is really welcoming with everyone, and we are sharing everything that we learn all the time. We are basically feeding back everything that we learn to the community.
Nice. And so, I mean, I think about the experience of art collectors and the shifts that they've made in their purchasing, abilities when it comes to people in the classic sense, right? People are going to New York City to Miami to find these specific art pieces that they are looking for, or perhaps like studios. And the experience was very interactive. You're seeing these pieces in real life. There's been a huge shift, of course, in the last 2 years to this concept of digital art. How have you seen kind of the buying habits of collectors shifted over the last 2 years? And then what are you doing to kind of bring more of those collectors that are looking for that kind of in-person Miami experience into kind of like considering exchange art for their next art piece?
Well, we're going to Miami.
Great.
I'll start with the end. We had a lovely show in Miami during Miami Art Week last year, where we celebrated more than 30 artists on Solana. We had around 50 screens, and it has been deemed by everyone. We had hundreds of people coming to see it, and we were surprised that the feedback was absolutely incredible, and we had attendees that have attended Art Basel, as a matter of fact, or more established shows for many, many years, and they said this was the best show that they've seen.
Wow.
Since they are coming to Miami Art Week. So that was lovely. Now that I started with the end of the conversation, let me go back to the beginning of the question. In terms of collectors, what we are seeing is that they really appreciate the transparency and the provenance. Now, on transparency, there are a few points, and that is the fact that they can be in touch with the artist a lot more. They have visibility over the artworks that the artist is putting up for sale, and everything that comes with the commercialization of that piece. In terms of provenance, basically this leads into the provenance topic. We have built a particular feature for all these collectors in which they can clearly see in a very user-friendly way when has a piece been minted, by whom, which is very important because that basically guarantees who the artist is. When and then all the commerce layers that particular piece has gone through, be it just a buy now, be it an auction, how many bids have been placed, what were the bids, who placed the bids, all of these questions and all of this data that traditional auction houses have and guard it. They have it and they guard it in order to make their own decisions. We have made it public for all the collectors or potential collectors to be able to see and make informed decisions based on whatever their criteria is. So this is what we've seen. They appreciate a lot the transparency and the provenance in terms of the art that they are buying.
I would imagine that's definitely it's interesting. You talk about transparency in a world of crypto. Like, one of the positives is the fact that we don't know who is behind certain projects, certain art pieces, certain wallets. And so even though there may be more transparency, it also may be challenging to really get that peak. Do you have any sort of not rules, but any sort of guidance as far as whether artists should be doxxed or not, whether they should be kind of transparent about who they are in real life? Like, what are your thoughts around that?
So this is not something new. Since historic past times, we have artists that are signing their artworks with different names for different reasons. Most common one were women, for example, 100, 200 years ago, when they weren't exactly allowed to be poets, for example. So they would get, or painters in different countries, right? So this is not exactly universally available, valid, but we have periods in the history where women, for example, weren't allowed to be artists. They had to use the names of their fathers or their brothers or their husbands, anyone who'd be a masculine figure in their life, to be able to publish their artworks and have it recognized by the public. So from that perspective, I do not think it's our place as a marketplace to dictate whether the artist should be doxxed, because this is a new word. But again, we are just coming back to old concepts. It's their choice, right? If they consider that maybe their day work, they work in an industry where the fact that they're artists doesn't help them a lot. They have the option to always sign with whatever title or whatever name they choose. We will always support them, and that's totally fine.
So I jumped the gun a little bit here, but I wanted to talk about royalties. So you guys,
Yeah, I've seen it popping at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to talk about this. I think that what you guys are doing here is really cool. So you have a royalties protection standard. So tell us a little bit about that. And I mean, I feel like royalties has been kind of a big discussion of, recent. So what's the story behind this? What made you guys decide to take this stance on royalties?
So again, royalties are an historic concept. It has been done for many, many years. We have examples in the art fashion world. We have examples everywhere of royalties being a concept that people have used in the past, and it's worked really fine. So in our case, what happened was that due to some market movements last year, we had to step in and create a standard that protects the royalties for our creators. It is an opt-in sort of feature. So if there are some creators that maybe do not want on a particular piece royalties, or they do not want to deal with what this feature means, they can just not use it at all. So we partnered with Cardinal Labs back in October to create this standard royalty protection standard to give the creators the option of having the royalties guaranteed if they wish so. What we are looking towards in the future is having a migration towards the programmatic NFTs that have been built by Metaplex on Solana. They are the company that kind of sets the NFT standard on Solana, and everyone abides by the standard they set. They came up with this programmatic NFT idea, and they implemented it, and we will be looking to onboard into that soon in order to help guarantee the artists' royalties.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're big fans of that. We have talked often about the fact that that's like one of the driving factors why we're here in this space is because you get to actually support the artists, unlike traditional sense Web2 world. So I love that
Indeed.
you've taken that stance and are doing things to push that forward.
Indeed, and we have seen how much it matters for creators because, as I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, we created this market from almost scratch a year and a half ago. So a lot of the artists that started with us back then, they started at lower price points. And the royalties that they have set back when they minted the NFTs at the beginning are really paying off half a year later or a few months later, or maybe even a year and a half. And they really feel the difference that it makes in their income and in the motivation to keep them creating and do what they love best. So we learned that firsthand, and we have all the reasons to support it.
Which, I mean, it makes sense. There's no reason for, the term starving artists. It's like, why
Yes.
do they need to be starving? Why can't they pay their bills and put food on the table like anybody else,
I agree. I mean,
So-
again, in the history, there have been artists that thought it's better to be starving because it would get them into a state where they would create better or more profound or anything else. But there is no reason for the outside world to restrain them at being a starving artist. It needs to be a choice if they wish so.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would love to hear a little bit about Code Canvas, and that just recently launched. So can you share a little bit about that?
So on Solana, we observed that there is a gap, and part of the market is underserved, and that was the long form generative art. And we decided to open Code Canvas, especially to serve that market. We were lucky to start with two amazing artists. We had our first two drops so far, and we are looking forward to another one, I think, in a few days.
Great.
That's exciting. I like it. How have obviously the market today looks very different than it did in October when you launched 2021. So talk to me about kind of the journey that you guys and your team have been on through what has been a bit of a roller coaster of a market and people. Talk to me about like what your journey has been like since the launch.
So it's been definitely the toughest thing that we've ever done, by far. And we are.
I appreciate the honesty, by the way.
Without, yeah, I mean, it's been really, really tough. And without modesty, we are a really good team. We've known each other for a long time. We've worked together in government projects and in all sorts of high-profile projects that we delivered in the past. So we've been to stressful times before. But this time and this project has kind of stretched our imagination in terms, and we've discovered qualities that we didn't know we have. So it's been tough, but it's been rewarding so far. We've just taken it step by step, day by day, and every time we're looking back to see whether what we've done was the right choice or not. And so far, we are happy with the choices that we've done so far, with all the lessons that we learned, and the feedback that we receive constantly from the community of artists and collectors is constructive and it's positive. So we still have a long way to go to achieve what we have in mind, but with their support and with all the constructive feedback, we aim to get there. We wish we'd be a team of 100 people or 200 people, so we would actually implement everything that's being required faster and deliver everything faster and more. But given the team that we have, we are doing absolutely our absolute best to deliver everything that the artists need and the features where the imagination kind of stretches. We have weathered, thankfully, all the storms that have come our way. which was amazing. But yeah, we learned a lot. That's quite the baseline. We learned a lot, and we keep pushing ahead.
Yeah, I feel like it makes you stronger, right? Sounds like you guys are
It
here to stay. So
It does, and then it gives us a bit more confidence because when we started, we kind of had to learn a lot about the market in which we started in. But the more time we spent with our artists and our collectors, and the more we gathered that feedback and implemented and kind of went into these feedback loops, we learned that we are on the right path so far. So it gives us a lot more confidence that we can weather whatever storms will come our way in the next couple of years.
I like it.
That's great. I just have to comment. So in the last year and a half, you guys have done over 16 million in sales volume and have seen a big growth in the platform. And you guys have done it all completely genuinely and organically. So how did this happen? Was it just like artists sharing how did you do this?
So word of mouth was a really big factor for us. It's the engine that helps us grow.
Yeah.
It has always worked the best for us. It is a lot of the success is due to the fact that we spend a lot of time with artists and collectors, and we listen and we implement solutions that answer to their needs. And we have a lot of chats with them also about their series, about curation, about everything. So we have both discussions on the art side, and we are trying to help them grow on the art side with the resources that we have that come from the traditional art world. And also on the technical side, because we are at the forefront of innovation. A lot of the things that we are doing haven't been done before, and a lot of the challenges that we're facing haven't been don't really happen in the traditional art world. So it's a lot of understanding every day what's going on and trying to figure out if our roadmap still fits to the current situation, or if we need to take measure and adapt to whatever new requirements are in the market.
So for that type of white glove service, hand holding, do the artists have to pay for any of that, or does it come from like fees on the other side?
It's completely free. We had to do a lot of things for artists completely free of charge because we grew this market from scratch, and we've seen a lot of gratitude from their side for the help that we offered and that we offer all the time, and we just keep doing this as long as we'll be around. There is no charge for the service. Artists, we keep promoting the calendar links for them to book office hours with our team, so they can choose to book slots with our team and just use it for free. We've seen tremendous feedback from their side after having conversations with our team, and
that's amazing.
And a lot of the bodies of work improved after we helped a bit. Now, not everyone needs it, so it's not something that people should do just for the sake of doing it, or because they feel the pressure from other artists, or maybe because they don't feel enough because they didn't do this, right? So it's just one of the services that we offer out there for people that feel the need to have a chat with the curator and see if there's something for them a bit more in this.
So, Larisa, I did want to ask you, what sort of qualifications or what do you look at when you're approving an artist? Are there guidelines or, things that you go through when you're, adding an artist to the site?
No, but it takes a few seconds, probably, I don't know, minute. I'm not sure what it is now. to get your profile submitted and your first artwork submitted, but we check every artwork for fraud. So we have a team that does this 24/7. We have tools that do it for us in collaboration with human resources. So there's always kind of a human at the end of the channel, but we do this a lot because we've seen it's a lot easier at the end of the day to copy a digital piece than it was back in the days to copy a painting. So we are trying to, again, as part of our efforts to keep this community at the standard that we want, is doing these fraud checks all the time. The pieces are submitted. Sometimes they involve, for example, asking for proof of creation. So for all new artists, and then for the ones that exist, from time to time, we ask proofs of creation. And we have discussions with them about how they created that piece. And then now it depends between, for example, it can be a painting, it can be a physical painting, right? Can we see pictures of the actual canvas unedited, right? Is the canvas somewhere in your room, for example? Like, does that canvas actually exist? Did you do it? For photographies, we have different set of questions. For digital art, again, we want to see layers, for example. There are a lot of things that we look for, and there's a bit of a conversation. Most of the time, everything is all right, and that's kind of the only thing that we do, but we don't gatekeep in any way. There isn't an application. Right. We are not in a place to say what art is and what art isn't. It's not our place, and I'm not sure whose place that is.
Right.
Now, if we were to look like 5 years out from now, like what does the future have in store for you and your team and Exchange.Art? Like, talk to me about what that vision looks like for you guys.
So we're trying to grow Exchange.Art into a one-stop shop for digital art. That's where we are heading. Anything more than that would be just wishful thinking, because honestly, as much as we'd like to plan, and as much as we are trying to plan everything on our side for the next couple of months and 1 to 2 years, we realize that it's a very fast-moving environment, and we need to adapt every day to what changes in the market if it affects our business and if it affects artists. Like, even the royalty protection standard was a reaction of what was happening in the market back then. So it's a combination between being reactive and being and planning everything and being strategic. But we are just going into the direction of making Exchange.Art a one-stop shop, offering them all the features that they are requiring. I think we'll probably need the next 5 years to build everything that's being requested, but I really hope we'll manage to achieve it faster.
Again, I love the honesty.
It's great. Well, I just want to say, thank you for being here on the show. I would love for you to share with the audience what is the best way to connect with you. We're going to have, all the links and stuff on our website. And do you have any, parting thoughts, words for our listeners out there?
So I am on Twitter, I am on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out. However, keep in mind I am a one-person kind of job on both social media. So the Exchange.Art Twitter is always active. We have a few people working all the time on our Twitter account. We have a big team that is in our Discord channel all the time, offering 24 hours support, both on the technical side and in everything that means Exchange.Art. So feel free to reach on all of these channels. We are always there, happy to help. And I think that's all from my side. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your initiative of promoting women in this ecosystem. And I hope we are doing our part as best as we can. For example, thank you very much. For example, we are working with Solana for their next event, Solana Hacker House in Austin this year, which is focused on women. We will curate, for the most part, a gallery that's focused on artists, of women artists. And we will try to promote in our panels, again, art created by women. So we're trying on our part to do as best as we can on this topic as well. So I really applaud your initiative, and I hope we get to a better world for us.
Yes, love it.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Larisa. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Jen.
So GenFT, I love that. And I can think of a handful of artists that could potentially benefit from this if they were interested in taking their art into the online world.
Yeah, for sure. It's so interesting. There seems to be so many platforms for artists that it would be challenging if I were one of them to choose what platform.
Yeah.
But just their stance on the royalties alone would drive me like to utilize them. I think that's bold of them to make that stance, bold of them to put that in place, the program that they have. So I think they are in it to win it. I think they're in here for the long haul. Like, that was a really good conversation and super enlightening.
And I couldn't help but think, like, I love the hand-holding component of it. And of course, it reminds me of Everyday Shiro and their hand-holding. I love it when people go into things with the, idea to really help people. Because, this space is so confusing, and I can't imagine, I would think as an artist, like the technology aspect and all of those things would probably be confusing for most artists. So the fact that they're really there to help guide them through, I think is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, they are leveling up their level of service, and I feel like that they can't go wrong there, right? It's needed, it's wanted, it's desired, it's you're right. This is a scary space here, and having a team there that is easily accessible, who will walk you through the process, is just going to make them stand out compared to all the other platforms.
Yep, 100%. So that being said, I wanted to just say today, I know we've said this before, but we have something, so you can ask us anything or provide us feedback. We would love it if you would give us a call and leave us a voicemail, and you can do that at the niftychicks.io/VM. It's super duper easy. All you do is go there and then you just hit record and you leave us a little voice message, and it gets delivered straight to our inbox, and then we can answer your questions. We can play your little, hopefully you say nice things about our show, or, because of course we like that. But if you do, you could get played on a Nifty Chicks show. How cool would that be? So
that'd be super cool.
We would love to hear from you. So please, please, please give us a voice message at the niftychicks.io/VM.
That's right. And as always, thank you so much for listening to the Nifty Chicks. Always remember, invest in yourself, because you are worth it.
Please listen carefully to the following disclaimer. Neither the host nor the guests of the Nifty Chicks podcast are acting in the capacity of financial advisors. We wish to remain transparent and impartial to the NFT community at all times, and therefore, the content provided by the Nifty Chicks hosts and guests are intended for general information purposes only. Nothing written or discussed by the Nifty Chicks hosts and guests should be construed or relied upon as investment, financial, legal, regulatory, accounting, tax, or similar advice. Nothing should be interpreted as a solicitation to invest in any cryptocurrency or NFT, and nothing herein should be construed as a recommendation to engage in any investment strategy or transaction. Please be advised that it is in your own best interest to consult with investment, legal, tax, or similar professionals regarding any specific situation and any prospective transaction decisions. You must do your own research when considering investing in cryptocurrencies or NFTs. We are simply sharing our journey with you as we learn more about the world of NFTs. Happy minting.